Hello everybody and welcome to another Boxing Locker vlog with me, Matt Goddard, former professional boxer, now boxing coach, British Boxing Board of Control, licensed pro trainer. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the Anthony Joshua heavyweight comeback. We know he's boxing Jermaine Franklin Jr. Franklin coming off the back of a loss against Dillian Whyte. That was a close fight. What do we know about Franklin? Okay, first and foremost, he's not very dangerous. He hasn't got a great deal of one-punch power. He's content to cruise, so he's not going to force the pace, or up till now, we haven't seen him have to force the pace. Obviously, I haven't seen his whole back catalogue, so it's difficult for me to know whether that's 100% the truth, but from my perception, that is what the promotional team of Anthony Joshua are going to be looking for. Somebody who's willing to kind of cruise through the fight, even if they're not necessarily in the lead. Somebody who presents little risk of knocking Anthony Joshua out or really doing any big harm to him. Somebody a bit smaller than Anthony Joshua. You know, he's smaller than Anthony Joshua, and as such, it's going to be an opportunity for Joshua to demonstrate his physicality and his strength and his pressure fighting that he was so famous for at the beginning of his career. He's obviously moved now and is working with a prolific trainer in Derrick James, who works with, or I don't know if he's working with both anymore, but Charlo Brothers and Errol Spence and some other great names, and is proving to be an incredibly accomplished trainer with a good boxing knowledge, and gets his fighters very ready for their opponents. Now, from Anthony Joshua's perspective, he needs that bounce back ability. He needs a fight that he can win and look good doing it. The promotional team behind him obviously think this is that fight. Franklin is a tricky customer. He's a good boxer. He's got a good skill set. We saw against Dillian Whyte in a very close fight that probably could have gone either way. That he can work very well on the ropes, work very well with counters. He's got slick defense. His physical shape is not impressive, and though we know from the Ruiz fight that isn't everything, I think the lack of athleticism makes it difficult for him to press through the gears and really step it up and put it on somebody, which will work in Joshua's favour. For Joshua, I think we're going to see a lot more aggression again, a lot more closing off of the ring. He followed Usyk around way too much, and I think James will have watched that and will have him working on cutting off the ring, shutting off the ring, and trying to corner his opponents so he can let them beautiful fast flurries that he's got go, driving through all the straight shots, attack to the body and head, which he does very nicely, and he did very nicely until that Ruiz knockout really kind of blew his confidence out of the water. From a boxing perspective, I think the fight will play out with AJ getting a mid to late stoppage, rounds 7 to 9, 7 to 10. I think Joshua is going to re-establish himself as one of those top 4 names, one of those marquee names. I just think he needs to get there as quick as he can, because there's some other names coming through and some other big fights on the cards in the heavyweight division that will present different challenges. Hrgovic, Joyce and Zhang, Jared Anderson coming through. There's a lot going on in the division, and they really need to get themselves in a position to set up that Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight as soon as possible before the money just disappears from it. Obviously, both men financially pretty well off, but that's a real legacy fight, you know, especially for British fans, and that will go down as one of the biggest British heavyweight fights in history. As I said, rounds 7 to 9, 7 to 10. AJ stoppage. I think Franklin will probably look reasonably impressive for 1 or 2 rounds, while Joshua kind of finds his feet, shakes off the ring rust, and gets into a place where he's able to perform in the manner that James will have had him practicing. I'm really excited to see what this connection does. I think it's probably a bit late in AJ's career for it to make an enormous difference. But even with small changes, even with psychological changes, Joshua could be a really, really big force in the heavyweight division once again. So that's my opinion of the fight. I'm glad to see AJ back. As I said, the Fury fight, the Wilder fight, both fights I'm interested in. I think Usyk beats him 99 times out of 100. You check out my Usyk Fury prediction on my YouTube channel as well, if you want to know my thoughts on that fight. Wilder fight, I would absolutely adore. I would love to see that. It's really the fight in heavyweight boxing that probably should have happened 5-6 years ago, and everybody really wants to see. We know Joshua probably doesn't have the resilience to stand up to one Wilder punch, but does Wilder have the resilience to stand up to Joshua aggressive with throwing with volume, applying pressure non-stop in the manner that Fury did in the second fight? Probably not. So, you know, it could be a gunfight at the OK Corral kind of vibes, last man standing, which would be great. And again, heavyweight boxing needs the big fights. All of boxing needs the big fights to be made. Boxing is an enormous sport and it's only going to keep growing. However, you're losing your real core fan base by not making those big fights, because boxing fans that have watched boxing their whole lives and are used to those big fights are desperate to see these, and you just end up losing them to Bellator and UFC and one championship, and that's just how it is, because the big fights get made in those franchises. So yeah, there we have it, guys. That's my thoughts. AJ stoppage between 7-9, 7-10, mid to late rounds. I think Franklin will have a good couple of first rounds, and then Joshua will start to impose himself. We'll start landing stiff jabs. He'll attack to the body, punches and bunches, and I think it will end up in a pretty clear cut, simple stoppage, volume punching. Franklin with nothing to answer, and the ref will jump in, call the fight quits. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the rest of my videos. I've had a real bad case of sinusitis, so that's why the content volume has diminished slightly. I'm not in the best of condition, as you can probably sound from my nasally voice. Probably hear from the sound of my nasally voice. Can't even put my sentences together properly. But yeah, so keep an eye out, keep watching, more and more content coming. I'll try and get as much recorded as I possibly can for you all. As always, thank you for your time. Have a great day. Take care.